Hello and welcome to another episode of Anfield Watch. Today, I'm delighted to say I'm joined by Adam Bogdan. Adam, it's great to have you on. How are you?
Thank you very much. I'm good. It's good times now to be a Hungarian and Liverpool player, former Liverpool player, and also a goalkeeper. You know, we have. I guess that's the reason why you try to contact me, because we have a young keeper who joined Liverpool.
Exactly, and I was just thinking back around almost 2 years ago. I was talking to you about Dominik Szoboszlai signing for Liverpool. Obviously, before Szoboszlai, you were the last Hungarian to play for Liverpool. Did you think that 2 years later we'd be talking about Liverpool signing another Hungarian player?
I didn't, to be honest. I didn't think that Armin was anywhere really in 2 years ago, because he only started to play a season and a half ago, and he's done well for his young age. And but I think it sort of came as a surprise for everybody that he went to Liverpool. I think we're going to dive into the details a little bit, so that will explain the whole transfer. But just to say, in short, that it's a huge deal for us. I think it's a really good, to say this, probably benchmark, I would say, for the job that the goalie coach has been doing with him. Also, great feedback for the national team, youth sides as well, and the coaches that they trusted him. So I think it's a really good story already, and it can be something that in the future develops further, and we're going to have a keeper playing for Liverpool again.
Now, as you said, it did come out of kind of nowhere in Hungary that he was going to sign for Liverpool. When did you first hear about it, and what was your initial reaction?
Yeah, I first heard when I was getting ready for the game against Sweden. You know, I'm working as a pundit as well, and I was preparing for the game. I was checking the Sweden national team, and I'm also preparing for the Hungarian national team. And this news came out, so I had to divert my attention a little bit and sort of add this news to my preparation. But yeah, that just shows the way the management did the whole thing, that they kept it as a secret for so long, and they did the work behind the scenes. And I think that, it's the same agent as Dominik Szoboszlai. So and I think Dominik's transfer was similar as well. You know, you could hear a couple of rumors towards the end, but up until the last minute, there was not much coming out, and that just shows that the aim is not to provide headlines. The aim is to get the player in a top club, and work behind the back in the background to create a great contract and create a pathway for these players.
You mentioned that you work as a pundit in Hungary. So what can you tell us about Armin Pecsi? What are his strengths? What are his qualities?
Yeah, so I don't work in the league. I do the national teams, but I also involved with the Hungarian FA. So I have a chance to see these guys and speak to the coaches, and know that everybody speaks really highly of him. You know, he's a very intelligent, very kind, very normal guy who worked extremely hard. He has a really, really good system behind him in terms of goalie coach in Puskás Academy that has produced, Balázs Tóth. He went to Blackburn last year, and also the fact that, I was speaking to the national team youth system coaches, goalie coaches, and everybody spoke really, really highly of him. So he's a hugely talented guy when it comes to movement in the goal. I think it reminds me a little bit of De Gea in terms of his build and the way he can move and shift his feet. Also a bit of a body shape as well. Of course, he needs to. He's only 20, but he's not an early developer. So I think his body needs to get stronger. Is certainly for the Premier League, but I do think there is a plan behind it, and this is a I'd like to use this as a ticket to the Premier League. That you need to work really hard. You entered one of the best teams in the world, if not the best at the moment, certainly in England, to give you a chance to become something extraordinary. Whether that will come, in the near future or a little bit further down the line. At the moment, I think it doesn't really matter. The only thing matters that he's in the building and he will train with absolutely top quality world class players day in day out, and I think that will give him the platform for the future to get stronger, understand the top quality and top level football without the pressure at first, and then they will see how it develops, in my opinion, and maybe next season and the season after. He signed a 5-year contract, and I think that alone, and also the fact that I think the price for a goalkeeper, especially in Hungary, I don't think that, can't really remember that has ever been paid so much, for somebody, especially that young, for a Hungarian goalkeeper, that gives him the proof of trust that the club has put in the 5-year contract and the money that they spent on him. It's a project for the future for sure. But I think Liverpool and certainly the goalkeeping, I don't know if it's a director of goalkeeping, global goalkeeping, they've seen enough of him that they can think the ceiling is so high, he can go so far, that they invested in him.
Do you think long term he has the potential to be the number one spot? Because obviously right now Alisson is at Liverpool, he's the number one, but he's not going to go on playing forever. So like you mentioned, he signed a 5-year contract. Do you think the long-term vision for him is to be a number one goalkeeper?
I do think, because otherwise they wouldn't have signed him. So I think there's a vision. Whether that's going to come into practice or whether that's going to happen, that nobody has a crystal ball, to look into the future and see if it's going to happen. But certainly that's the intention, in my opinion, and that requires, and that's the idea I think behind it, that requires at least 6 months, but maybe a season to get up to the level that the Premier League requires, and certainly what Liverpool requires in terms of win almost every game, compete in 3 competitions, if not 4. So I think it will benefit him hugely. He played already a season and a half, so he's almost like a bit of ahead of his competitors when it comes to age. Okay, you can choose. Maybe Donnarumma started 17, and but Donnarumma was already the size of right now. So I think the idea behind it, and maybe I'm just repeating myself, is that he has done enough in the men's football that they can see potential 100%, but also is still ahead of his maybe age group, so he can sort of use a year for practice and get up to every requirement what the Premier League requires, and then that will give him the platform for the future, and whether, like I said, to compete for number 1 or number 2 position in Liverpool will come in the 2nd season or the 3rd season or the 4th season. If he gets it, and if he gets there finally, I think it won't matter, because he will have a long career ahead of him. But that year required. Sorry.
Now, today we're sitting here, we're talking about a second Hungarian joining Liverpool.
And just before we go there, sorry to interrupt. Because my situation was quite similar. I played 2nd division in Hungary, and I played in the under-21 national team, and I signed for Bolton. I was 19, and that I straight away I knew I was 4th choice, and straight away I knew I need a year at least, to get up to speed. On the long run, it got me to play for Bolton in the Premier League. It got me to play Bolton in the Championship for 3 years, and then and on the back of it, I managed to sign for Liverpool. So sometimes it's hard to break out, and many goalkeepers sort of, if they start playing, they're always looking to to play the season after, but they might lose out on an opportunity to get to a top team, to sort of sacrifice maybe a year in their career of playing, but give them the platform to succeed in a long future. And I think that sort of you need a certain mindset for that. I'm not saying that somebody chooses a different route is bad, because it always depends on the person. But I think that requires intelligence as well to realize that there's a much bigger price at the end of the rope than maybe, stay in Hungary for another year, or maybe go to another team to play. You earn the ticket to one of the best teams in the world. That's how you have to see it.
What are the challenges as well when you come from Hungary to play in England, like physically and in terms of the pace of the game? What are the things that he'll sort of have to come to speed with?
Yeah, I think the speed of the game and the quality of the shots and the directness of traditionally the directness of English football, when it used to, they would overload your box and you have to come, and whether you come or not, sometimes people forget, but the rain, the wind makes it so much harder. It's slippy, it's faster, the rain swirls, and I had certainly a couple of experiences with windy games, but it does make, and how it affects you is let's say you come with confidence that you're good in your league, and then you start playing, you start training, and suddenly in your level where you used to, you make comfortable saves, you make big saves, and okay, you concede a couple of, and suddenly you go to top 10, suddenly you start conceding in the training, and then you start thinking, what am I doing wrong? Am I in the right position? Do I have to do? So you start questioning yourself, and I think there will be a period of every goalkeepers who go to a higher level, or certainly a much higher level, in this case, then there will be a period where you don't make as many saves, and then you have to remind yourself and the people around him that that's a natural progression, and it will come. It will get better, and then you will start feeling very confident in yourself as well. Maybe that takes 6 months, maybe 3 months, maybe a year. But like I said, the fact that he signed a 5-year deal, and it's clearly a pathway for him, and there's clearly a plan with them, I think that they must give him the confidence that it's a long-term project and it will come eventually.
Now, I wanted to get back to the question I wanted to ask you about. Right now we're sitting here, we're talking about a second Hungarian joining Liverpool, but could there be a third? There's a lot of discussions, lots of rumours, lots of links with Milos Kerkez to Liverpool. Do you think that could happen? And, we could see a third Hungarian joining Liverpool?
Well, certainly everything points that direction, apart from the fact that he hasn't been announced yet. Like we thought that it's going to happen, or already announced pretty much after the national team game, after Sweden, because he didn't participate. He left the training center. There might be a pile up of signings at the moment because of Florian Wirtz, the rumors that he. Yeah. So that could. I have no information apart from that everybody knows, and maybe what I've seen, at the national team, that he's not participating, and there's a signing pretty much, every minute can happen. So if I have to bet, yeah, it's going to happen, and that's pretty sure. Whether, unless there is going to be a big upset and he goes to another team, I don't know. But I think the only thing is missing is to be announced, and maybe the signature. So everything points that and that would be amazing, that also gives me, I don't know, a job for another 4 years, as a pundit, to talk about. To talk about players in Liverpool and Hungarian players in Liverpool, and I think I think we will have to let it sink in, and we have to, maybe in 10 years time, when we look back, we think like, remember that time, when we had three Hungarians at Liverpool, and the fact that we used to have Peter Gulácsi, we have Christian Nemeth, we have players, Christian Adorjan, Polgár. We have a lot of players up until maybe the youth system, and I think Peter Gulacsi was the one who sat at least 40. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm sorry, Peter, but at least 40 times
50,
on the bench.
50, 50,
So
it was 50.
if he was a bit more luckier in that sense, he would have been a Liverpool first team player who made his debut. He was part of the first team, so it's not that sort of like uncommon in the last 15 years. Having said that, the quality and the signatures that you've spent 60 million or 70 millions for Dominic Szoboszlai, then you're going to spend 40 million for reportedly. I'm not sure exactly, and then you're going to have another goalkeeper who has a prospect to become something great in the club. That's the difference. And I think that's huge. That's huge for the supporters in Hungary. We have a lot of Liverpool supporters in here, and I think there's going to be even more after this, especially the younger generation. Because so that's great. Let alone having Hungarians in the Premier League. It seems like that anybody who's Hungarian will join Liverpool in the Premier League. That's dreamland for us.
You're a Premier League pundit in Hungary, so you must have seen a lot of Milos Kerkez. Do you think he is ready for that step up to play in Liverpool and become the first choice over Andy Robertson?
Listen, I think that's the perfect mix there, in my opinion, because Andy Robertson, I know there's a lot of suggestion that he's maybe over his peak, but I know him and he's a fighter, and he played so many games this season. And yes, there was a couple of mistakes, but who doesn't make mistakes? So he has been great, in my opinion, and I'm sure that he will not give his position just like this. But there are so many games, and that position, on the wing back position, it requires so much stamina and strength to go on. And the fact that you can change 5 players, I think that could be a position that can be very dynamic on the right, with Frimpong, and on the left as well, that maybe requires players to swap, and get substituted in the 60th or 70th minute to give fresh energy. So I think the fact that you have an unbelievably good left back with wealth of experience, winning titles, who may be turning into, in the last period of his career. I've said it very carefully because he's only 31, and we've seen. But then you have a 21-year-old, or maybe Kerkez is 22, not 21, 22-year-old, with two-year experience in the Premier League, who has the energy to go on for 90 minutes if he wants, but he still have to learn this sort of top club, the pressure that comes with it, that you have to win every game. You have to win every game, and you have to compete in every competition. I think that's a perfect mix. I would be if I was a sporting director, if I was somebody who would make decision as a club, I would see it as a perfect setup.
And lastly, I noticed on your Instagram that you've been around the Liverpool Academy a few years ago. There's actually another Hungarian in the academy who represents England's youth team, Eric Farkas, who made his debut for England's under-16 team recently. What do you know about him, and what can you tell us about him as well?
He's a hugely talented kid. I was at the academy a couple of times, and obviously when a Hungarian connection comes along, that we will talk about players and we will talk about him particularly. And it was great. It was great to hear that he's doing so great. I've seen him training. He's got great technique. He's got a long way to go. He's only 16, so 15, 16. So there's a lot of talented boys in that time, and then to make it to the first team, you need to be, very, very strong in your head. You have to have the talent, obviously. You have to overcome difficulties. So there's a long way ahead of him, but where he is at the moment is great. Is for Hungarian part of things, but it's not great that he chose in England at the moment. But at the same time, it's sort of can be understood because of the quality of the national team in England. But of course, we would be delighted if he had tried the national team in Hungary as well. But most importantly, for him, he has to progress and he has to be better each time. And I think he is in a great academy that not just high quality or the one of the highest qualities when it comes to academies, but the pathway that has been proven, in Liverpool is there, and you can get to the first team if you do the requirements, if you do your best, and that's you hit the benchmarks of the academies. We've seen it in the past. I don't have to mention names, but they are there to see that you can come through and you can be part of the first team and part of be a big part of the first team actually as well.
Well, thank you very much, Adam. Really appreciated your time.
No
I know you're a
problem.
busy man, so I'm going to let you go, but thank you very much. Appreciated it.
Cheers. Thanks. Bye.